Hey, welcome to the Sports Reverends podcast. My name is Dan. I'm joined with the coach, my big brother, Coach Joel's coached around the world, top of the line coach. He's coached one of the greatest athletes out there. Yeah, that's right. Myself. Just kidding. He did well with what he had to work with, that's for sure. But we're excited for another show today. It's been a good couple of weeks in a row of producing some content with you guys. Thank you so much for following us on all the socials. And Coach, why don't you just share a little bit about what we are going to be talking about today?
Lots of good stuff to talk about. We're going to look at our quick hitters, look at some Olympic basketball coming up in the summer. It's kind of weird to be thinking it's Olympic time coming around the corner, but there it is. Has the art of posterization disappeared in the NBA? Talk about maybe one of our maybe favorite dunks and go from there. And then March Madness, that's the big topic. Who's going further? Duke, UNC. Maybe talk a bit about the popularity of who's the men's versus the women's game. There's been a bit of chatter about the women's game overtaking the men's. Is that true? I don't know. We'll talk about it. And then we're going to close out with pressure and how we look at that in the sports and in the faith life. But why don't you start us off with the quick hitters?
All right, let's get into some quick hitter news. UConn, Houston, Purdue, and UNC all are number one seeds in the NCAA men's tournament.
Nick Williams, my fantasy draft guy, is signing with the New York Jets, hooking up with Aaron Rodgers with a 1-year, $15 million contract.
Now, here's something both of us can rejoice with. Manchester United finally has done something great, defeating Liverpool 4-3. Shout out Mark Goring in the FA Cup quarterfinals.
Yeah, finally. Blake Snell signs a 2-year, $62 million deal with the San Francisco Giants.
And Scotty Scheffler becomes the first back-to-back players winner with a final 20 under. Pretty amazing stuff.
I'm back in.
There we go. All right, commercial number one. Let's handle some business. Urban Hope is one of our, I guess not one of ours. It is the mentorship program that is near and dear to our hearts. We are excited to run this program in downtown Toronto in a marginalized neighborhood where we get to provide a safe place and mentorship skills and other leadership skills for students. And we actually allow some of the students that once they get to the right age and once they reach to the certain levels to put those practices into action. And it's very cool to see all these students get together and build each other up and build it into their community as well. It's been very exciting to see many success stories of students who were once deemed not to ever go to college or even have a post-secondary education, go through it and learn and grow and get degrees. And we've have a more number than fingers than I can count with of students that have graduated now from even the university post-secondary college level. And that's been very exciting for us. We have even more coming forward with our basketball team. We have officially been given court time. Coach is hearing about this just now, right now, live.
Wow, that's
This is
awesome.
real deal. We have court time and we have our own home gym that we will be using. Very excited of the basketball program we are putting together. Now, if you want to be a part of this journey, as you've been joining us along with the Sports Reverends journey, if you want to sow into some of the students' lives of the next generation, there's a way you can do that. You can go to the sportsreverends.com/sponsorships. You can give and help this program out. Every dollar that you give towards Urban Hope goes into the programming alone. So it's a very, very exciting thing. So please consider helping and supporting that way and help these students that really don't have many opportunities have an opportunity to learn, grow, and have a better success in this life. So thank you for your support and let's go.
All right, all right. One of my favorite tournaments is March Madness for sure. A very, very close second is the Olympic tourneys. I love watching this. Even though the time zones are kind of funky sometimes, you just stay up and you watch. So they just announced the different pools, different brackets or pools for the groups. And in Group A, we have Australia, Canada,
Yep.
the winner of the Olympic qualifying tourney in Spain, the winner of the Olympic qualifying tourney in Greece. And it's if you're a little confused, we got this down for you guys. In the Spain tourney, it is Spain, Poland, Finland, Lebanon, Angola, and the Bahamas. So we think Spain will come out on top there. In the Greek tourney, we have Slovenia, Greece, Dominican Republic, New Zealand, Croatia, and Egypt. So out of those six, who do you think is going to win this one, Daniel?
Probably. Oh, that's tough. I don't know.
Take
There's
a guess.
Giannis, there's Luca. Ah, man, I'm not going against. You know what? I'm going with Luca. Luca and the boys. They have I think a lot more talent surrounding Luca. And it was pretty exciting watching all those guys. Sorry, what Slovenia you said, right? Slovenia, watching them
Yeah.
in the World Cup, just like Luka Doncic, they all complained to the refs in an incredible fashion, and I loved it. I loved the passion, and I loved all the in-game. I'll say competitive nature. I'll say that.
All right. Well, I'm going. I'm not putting anything against Greek the Freak in a small game like this. I think he's just going to dominate, especially with the fouls being called. So I'm picking Greece. Maybe his brother Thanasis will get some burn. Who knows? But so we're it's going to either be Slovenia, Greece, Spain, Australia, and Canada. So it's a really tough group there.
Group of death right there.
In Group B, pretty much group of death. You have World Cup winners Germany, France. Wembanyama is going to be leading that French team. It's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah.
Japan and the winner of the Latvian qualifying tournament, which is Latvia, Brazil, Montenegro, Georgia, the Philippines, and Cameroon. I will say of that group, Latvia is ranked number 8 in the world, and Brazil number 12, whatever that means for you guys. But I think home court advantage probably Latvia. I don't know.
The Philippines, they have there's a Philippine American. I believe he does qualify to play for the national team. He's going to be in the men's tournament that we're going to talk about in a few moments here, the NCAA men's tournament, and he's actually projected to be a top, I believe, I'll say a lottery pick for this coming
Hard to
draft.
pick
So
it.
pretty good.
I would say if this was a YMCA tourney, the Philippines would win hands down. But but it's not. Guys got a little bigger here. And in Group C, we have Serbia, we have
Woo,
South
Joker.
Sudan, and we have the United States, along with the
Okay.
qualifier of the Puerto Rico tourney, which is Lithuania, Italy, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Ivory Coast, and Bahrain. So, for what it's worth, again, Lithuania is ranked 10th and Italy's ranked 13th. Puerto Rico's up at 16th. Jose Alvarez, I believe, plays for that team.
Okay.
So I think that's a tough group as well.
I'm going Lithuania with Jonas and Domantas Sabonis,
Yeah,
that other guy.
I think with Lithuania comes out, but they also match up well with Serbia with the bigs, and the U.S. has bigs, right? And Joel Embiid, if he's healthy,
Oh, that's the biggest like tragedy of this tournament is Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid should be playing either for France or even Cameroon. If he decided to play for Cameroon with my boy Pascal, they could be a nasty team too. But Joel
he
Embiid
could be.
chickened out, and he's gonna, it's just sad. It's just sad, honestly.
It is sad because you want somebody to be, if you're going to call yourself the man, as he does in
Yeah,
Philadelphia, come on, you want to be the guy who beats the U.S., don't you? Like,
100%.
I don't know. I would if it was me, I would probably play for the place I grew up in. If I grew up in France and I'm playing for France, him and
100%.
Wembanyama, that'd be a insane combo.
That'd be nasty. Be
Insane.
nasty. And they
Be
have
nasty.
the kid, the rookie from Washington, Bilal
Uh,
Bilal
yep,
something.
something like that.
But
Yeah, but he's
so what
good
do you
too. Yeah,
think?
they're a decent team.
We are from Canada, as most of y'all
Yeah,
know. What do you think of the chances? Let's say all the Canadians are playing that you can think of that you'd ever want. Benedict Mathurin, Jamal Murray,
yep.
all the guys. How do they do?
Wow. Well, I think if everybody from Canada plays, I think they're gonna finish second in the group.
Second,
Um,
okay.
I say second only because they haven't really played a ton together, right? The Spanish team and Greek teams, they tend to play a lot more together. There's more of that cohesion, but the talent's there for them to finish second in the group. I would say third place game. Third place game. That's
That's
where I
where
want
they're
to be.
gonna finish. Third place, like probably bronze. You think they're medal?
I think they get the bronze. Yeah, I think they finished fourth, but in a medal game, you never know.
You're tough. That's just you're the
Yeah.
skeptic. That's why you're skeptic. I'm saying they're meeting the US in the finals. Absolutely. That's
Oh
my
my gosh,
dream.
dreamer
That's
over
the
here.
dream. All right. And okay. Is the US backcourt better than Jamal Murray and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander?
It doesn't matter,
It's Steph
and
Curry and
I say it doesn't matter only because you have LeBron James, you got a bunch of good bigs, you got Kevin
they're
Durant, like you got a
old.
bunch of guys who can score,
They're old.
right? Doesn't matter. It really doesn't. They have length,
That
they're,
Serbian team's pretty nasty. Like they got to go through Joker.
but they can't run as much as the States.
They don't need to.
They can't. Of course you do. Look, you look
There's
back to that
Kobe's not there to
2004
save
Redeem
them this
team.
time. You know that.
I know. There's no Kobe, which is a different story altogether. But these guys will run and they're athletic, and I don't think anybody on that group, even the Serbian team, can keep up when they're running and gunning on all cylinders. There's no chance.
Yeah, I
No
know.
chance.
They're saying Kyrie wants to play for Team USA too, and the way he's been playing, man, like you have
Ooh,
to give him some props. He's been absolutely dominant.
like I mean, Kyrie and Curry would be a tough backcourt.
It's pretty tough. Is Kyrie and Curry better than Jamal Murray and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander right now?
Yes,
I don't know about that. I don't know. Those two guys. Shea
I'm
is a
saying
30
yes.
plus point a
I'm saying
game.
yes.
30.
I
Jamal's a
hey,
champion.
I
Come on.
we'll talk about pressure later, but
Come on.
Steph and Kyrie, that's a hard matchup. That's a hard matchup.
Canada's getting gold, baby. Let's go.
Oh
We're
boy.
going for
You heard it
gold. We're
here
taking
first on
them
the Sports
down.
Reverends. March 19th.
Gold. Gold. Let's go, baby.
All right.
Now, do you
All
want to
right.
talk
Well,
about the
also shout
women's
out to
group?
the women's team. Also shout out to the women's girls. They hit at
Kia
Group E,
Nurse.
Australia, Canada, France, and Nigeria. So we'll see
And
how they
that's
do. I have no idea how they're gonna do.
the rankings are usually USA 1, Canada 2, right? The rivalry is still there, I think.
I think Australia's up there for the women's team.
Okay. Okay, well,
I think so.
we
We'll see.
will we find out by watching?
No.
We'll
So
find
Canada's
out.
ranked number 5,
Okay.
Australia's ranked number 3,
Okay.
and China is actually world ranking number 2.
Wow.
Surprising.
That's wow.
Something.
All
So
right.
yeah, but so hey, shout out to the Canadian team for getting there.
Yeah,
Now,
go Kia Nurse.
go Kieners, sure. She's probably a better reporter than she is a basketball player.
She's actually not a bad TSN analyst. Out of all the analysts there, honestly, she's all right. She's all right.
All right, Jack. I can take those two. Um, anyways, we're gonna talk about posterization because this also ties in the Olympics. If you're were watching on any sort of sports social media, March 18th, March 19th, you would have seen Anthony Edwards absolutely destroy John Collins on a poster. Anthony Edwards had already a quote unquote dunk of the year candidate. He put in a second. So give us some stats about this dunk that you found in the NBA IG.
Yeah, this dunk is absolutely crazy. All right. The vertical he had on that dunk hit 43.9 inches. The max ball height was at 11.39 inches. The takeoff distance was 10.6 feet. And the ball speed through the rim, 23.6 miles per hour. Absolutely ridiculous. He dislocated his finger on the play, just a monster jam. There's a couple great jams that night, but this one I think takes the
Yeah.
cake.
Took the cake by far. And I'll throw this to you, and I'll give you kind of your opinion on this. What has happened to NBA posters? Right? What I have some thoughts, but I'll let you talk first on this.
Yeah, I think it's definitely we see less. We see less. I used to have posters. I used to cut them out from your Slam magazine subscription that you
Yeah,
ordered, and I used to cut them out and steal them as much as I could without you trying to notice. And I'd have them all over my wall. I would redo them every year, almost, pretty much almost every year, at least
yeah.
a large section of them because there were so many amazing posters each year. I think the way the game is being played now, this is why you see less posters. There's way more 3 pointers, right? It's just everyone's shooting threes
Yeah.
or getting and because the defense gets taken out so far, it's easier to get a uncontested layup or dunk than it is a poster. So I think there's just less attacking of the rim, which some teams should do more, especially that can't shoot very well. But
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
I am going to go old man on this hardcore. The
Yes.
NBA is so wussy. It is so wussy. If I could get on a soapbox and preach about this, I would. It is there's less guys going to the rim, right? Anytime you go to the rim, there's a bunch of crying about, oh, he fouled me, this, that, and the other. Guys who play post or a center, they want to shoot threes instead of grabbing rebounds. And that's fine. I get it. Threes are an essential part of the game. They become more efficient. I get it. But if you can't get defensive rebounds, you're in big trouble. And guys just don't want to end up on posters. It's all about ego. They'd rather just let the guy fly by, grab a dunk, he got a bounce and go, instead of challenging these guys at the rim. I think Shaq said it best. Like if anybody tried to guard him in this year's NBA, he would just bully ball them. He would just
100%.
dominate them. It wouldn't even be a challenge. Anybody goes off, set him to the lane, one hard foul. And nowadays you look at the flagrant ones and all that. Those are just regular fouls back in the day. The wussification of the NBA has taken away any essential aspect of defense and entertainment. Like it's the one of the biggest things. Guy going up for a monster dunk and boom, out of nowhere, met at the rim, met at the rim. So that's my old guy rant. You're right. 3 pointers have played a role in this. A lack, you walk. Oh my goodness, look at guys. Most of them don't have post footwork down. They can barely figure that out, and they just don't know. No one wants to block anymore. Dikembe Mutombo with the big finger wag. That was one of the coolest things around town,
You know,
right? So
I loved Dwayne Wade on the blocking end of things. He was one of the best blocking guards ever. Like he would meet anyone
yeah,
at the rim. And it's okay to get dunked on. That happens, right? But
yeah.
when he like took some guys out, it was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. But
And a lot
like you
of D
said,
Wade's blocks were not like help defense blocks. They
not
were
LeBron
guarding
blocks.
guys and just yeah, one-on-one blocks. So
Yeah. Those
um
are nasty.
is there a memorable dunk for you in game that kind of got to get you out of your seat?
The one, okay, I'll go back because there's one obviously I think that sticks out for everybody, but the one that I'll talk about is Dwayne Wade dunking on Anderson Varejao, where goes down the middle of the lane,
Oh,
dunks on
yeah.
Varejao, and he curls up into like a little worm that he is, all right? Because Anderson Varejao was also the king of floppers, so it was beautiful. That's one of
Mm,
mine. That's one of mine.
okay. I won't say this one yet. I'll talk about this one after. The one that really sticks out of my head. Again, another old school one. Baron Davis on AK-47.
Ooh, oh yeah,
That's throwing it back because this has been the Warriors who were really bad. And Baron Davis, I'm not sure, I can't read the exact clip, but he crosses over. Uh, Andre Kirilenko comes to help defense, and he just gets up, 2 foot jumper, gets up and crowns Andre Kirilenko. And
nasty.
I think it was in the playoffs too. It was one of those
Playoff
ones that
dunk,
just
100%.
blew your mind.
Oh
But
yeah.
my all time dunk that got me hyped up the most, I watched this live, was a Harry Vince Carter jumping over the French dude, Freddie Weiss,
Ooh.
and it was so unexpected. It was such a thing of beauty, and it put his dunk comp to shame. The dude legit jumped over a 7'2" dude in a game and threw it down. and then almost got knocked out by KG uh, in the end there. I can't remember. I was watching some documentary, and Vin Baker was calling for the ball, but there's no chance Vince was giving that up, and it was
Oh,
incredible. Yeah, it was one of those things like you saw it, and it was just like it's so early in the morning, but like
just
how is this possible?
insane. Doesn't seem real.
So
Doesn't seem real.
doesn't seem real.
Um,
Doesn't seem real, but yeah, I love good in-game dunks for sure.
was Vince Carter a better in-game dunker than Michael Jordan?
I think I think Vince looked like a better in-game dunker because they tweaked the rules for less fouling by that point. Like Jordan would dunk, but he would be getting like six guys holding him down somehow. Right? There's a lot of more physicality,
True.
but I
That's a good
think in
point.
terms of, but I also think Vince was a bit of a better showman because he would get those open dunks, and Jordan would dunk with ferocity, but Vince would do something,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's a windmill or a 360, like it was more regular. It felt like, but I would say, yeah, I would say Vince was a better in-game dunker, partly because of the rules, but partly because he just had a natural flair to him.
Yeah.
That was at least that's my opinion.
And I
You
remember
can
that
at me in the comments.
there was one game that they were playing against the Tim Duncan and the Spurs, and Vince got Tim Duncan twice in the same game, and Tim was
Yeah,
just furious about it because he's doing the right thing on defense, right? But
yeah, oh yeah,
just he levitates and
and
dunks over
and
him.
not many guys get Tim Duncan.
Yeah, basically no one gets Tim Duncan. No
Yeah,
one
like
does.
prime Tim Duncan, he got him. He got prime Tim Duncan,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
pretty
incredible
insane. Pretty insane. I know Jordan got lots of guys too, and so did lots of other people get, but those two
yeah,
stick out for me for
for sure,
sure.
for sure, for sure. Talking about prime, let's get some bills paid here.
Yep.
Train to invest. If you are looking for a way to earn a retirement or even just understand what all those numbers mean on your statement and fact check uh, your middleman or your financial advisor, check us out www.train the number two invest.com. We teach a course that enables you to be financially sound, have understand the principles, and learn a methodology that's going to help you be financially free. It's something you want to teach to your kids, you want to teach to your siblings, and that's what we're all about. We're here to teach you how to be financially free, how to pay for things that you never thought pay for, save up for things, and look at your finances in a different way. You know, it's something that we don't get taught a lot in school is what's a savings account, what's an interest rate. Interest rates have been a big deal in the world economy today. Everything's gone up from gasoline to food to housing. How does that impact you in your retirement? I will teach you all about these things and what is a need to know versus a nice to know so that you can create an action plan for you and your family so you don't have to wait on a pension or till you're 65 to retire. So if you're looking for more information on how to change your life and how to change your finances and just learn more, check us out www.train the number 2 invest.com. Download our ebook, get in contact with us, and we'd love to get you set up there. So check us out and we'll check you guys out soon.
So, Coach,
Oof.
I wanted to start
Yeah,
this one out this way. Okay, have you?
I know you
Did you get
did.
a chance to check out the new podcast by JJ Redick and LeBron James?
I did not. I did not.
They had
I did
just
not.
started this podcast, and I thought you'd be all over this. They both have the same level of education, and they both have all this basketball acumen. I thought you'd be all over this. You know,
Same level of education. Didn't JJ go to university?
JJ LeBron, they have the same. JJ went to Duke, and LeBron graduated high school. It's the same. It's the same. It's the same level of education, don't you think?
Oh,
Emotional
man.
damage.
Oh yeah. So speaking of
Wow.
Duke,
You just set me up so bad.
that was perfect. That was perfect because we're speaking of Duke and the high school level of education. I wanted to propose a little friendly wager with my big bro, with the coach. Are you
Okay.
ready?
All right.
Here's a little
I'm ready.
wager. We got the March Madness tournament, really technically starting today, the Tuesday, but it all starts Thursday, March 19th, the 64 team tournament. Joel is a huge Duke fan. I don't know why. Pray for him all the time. I am a big UNC fan, North Carolina Tar Heels, and we always have fun at March Madness time. And my wager is this to you:
Okay.
who, whatever team goes further in the tournament, okay?
Okay.
The losing team, the losing player, you or myself, has to take a on the very next episode that it's able has to take a smell of smelling salt, a full deep sniff in front of
Oh,
our whole audience.
okay. I was hoping you'd say shave your beard, but this will be back in a week for me. A little harder for you. I'm
Take
down for
another
that.
30 years for
Uh,
me.
I'll give I'll give you a caveat though.
Uh-oh.
If they both get out in the same round, we both have to do it.
Fine. Done.
Okay.
Done.
Deal.
All right.
Deal.
All right. Now I'll pass it back to
Uh,
you to
s-
lead us in the rest of the
yeah.
conversation.
Speaking of brackets, I think we'll post ours on the Sports Reverends website. Make sure you download yours, send it on over. We'll get it uploaded, and maybe we'll see. The winner might get a little gift card coming their way, and we'll do it like that. So get your brackets in. You have until Thursday. Let's call it 10 a.m.
Thursday before
EST.
start time. Before start time. Whatever it
Sure,
is.
for start time. Yeah, we'll find
Boom.
out. So Thursday before start time, and we'll go from there. One thing you brought up in our little pre-pod discussion is that there's a consensus out there that the women's game has more popular players than the men's game, and that the women's tourney could be shifting towards the it thing this year. Um, what do you think? I'll give you the floor first because I know you have some real deep thoughts about this. Is the women's game, is women's March Madness going to be more popular than men's?
Absolutely not. It's not going to be more popular. It is. There is some great players that are going through this year's tournament. They're trying to relate this year's upcoming WNBA draft class to the draft class of LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Melo Anthony, and our boy Darko Milicic. All right, and
Darko,
the first one to win a championship of the four. Um,
very true.
and I like it's good. It's good. I'm glad they're promoting the game. I'm glad that the game seems to be growing. We'll see how it goes. We see Clark's following, kind of bigger than most WNBA games, I would say. There's huge lineups
Yeah.
for every stadium she goes to, and she's a very exciting player. I think she's great. I know there's a couple of other ones that are out there as well. I know Angel Reese is the popular uh, kind of uh, kind of defender and things like that. And she makes a lot of money with the NIL stuff. I know Paige Buchers
Mhm.
for the Yukon is supposed to be good too. And there's a couple others as well. But at the end of the day, the men's game is where all the money comes in. The men's game is where uh it'll probably, I think it'll be more watched. But when it comes in terms of money, for sure, it's definitely where it
Mhm.
brings the money in. So and for my personal point of view, I think it's a lot more exciting, much more exciting of a game. I love the pureness of the college basketball game, especially the men's one, where there's a lot of system play, but also just a lot of hard nosed defense, a lot of pressure, and all those kinds of things and situations. So go ahead, your turn.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think what's going to happen is on TSN of those four channels, two will be men's and two will be women's, which is I think kind of ridiculous because outside of Caitlin Clark and the LSU team and maybe that South Carolina team, who wants to watch that? I don't know. Um, I think one thing that the women's game does have going for it though is you don't have any one and dones really. So you
True.
have time to build up that brand of this is a player, this is, something you watch throughout the years. And not that the women's game is bad or it's just it's a great game to learn fundamentals and uh different types the way of playing underneath the rim, not having to dunk and stuff like that. It's has its own qualities, but the men's game is just significantly better in terms of quality and style. And aside from Caitlin Clark packing out university gyms, you're not going to see too many more being packed out. Every game in the men's side will be packed out 1,000%, and I just find it's a much better game. Now, in your comparison to the NBA, I disagree somewhat. Yes, there is more team game and the pressure of the tournament, but I think if you look at the NBA game, it's way more nuanced. It does look like a lot of one-on-ones, and teams like the Spurs of old and even the Golden State Warriors today, get props and get their flowers for ball movement. But when I go to games, I look at what are the guys doing off the ball, and sometimes there's guys who just stand there. But there's other times where there's a lot of side movement, side screens, pick and rolls, all just the nonsense that happens that most people just don't understand. And that's okay because they're looking at, all eyes are on LeBron going against Kevin Durant in a one-on-one battle. But there's a lot of nuances and different things. And if one guy doesn't do his job, it's over. Right. So but I will say the college game is way more passionate. It's a little more fun to watch. You don't have guys load managing themselves, as we've talked about before. And I will take the tournament over most things, but postseason basketball, NBA Finals, that's still where it's at for me.
No, no, not arguing with you there. Probably agree with you on most of what you said there. So, I just love the the intensity of the tournament, the pressure that goes into every play, every possession means so much.
Mhm.
The time is it's two halves. It's just constant clock going, and it's a very
Yeah.
difficult thing to win this tournament. And maybe you can transition that into our next part of the conversation of as we talk about pressure and we see the similarities in sports and in faith.
Yeah. And one of the things we've really talked about, kind of dropped hints here, is pressure throughout the entire pod. And for those of you who've played any level of sports, there's always that pressure to win. And that pressure can come internally, can come externally. And what we kind of want to talk about a bit about today is the similarities between sport and faith and pressure and maybe some differences as well. And some of the similarities is there's a person above you on the team, and that's the coach. And in your faith life, that's God, right? They give you instructions. It's up to you whether you follow them or not all the time. And they have a game plan sorted out, and there's a clear hierarchy involved with that. Another example is there's you practice your whatever skill set it is, whether it's your jumper, whether it's a slap shot, whether it's a forehand in tennis. There's all sorts of drills and work put in to become better at that skill. In your faith life, that looks like reading your Bible, praying every day, doing a devotional, surrounding yourself with other godly people, being obedient and practicing, your prayer life in a quiet time, things like that. And then there's the pressure of the in game where you're trying to win, you're trying to score, try and defend, and ultimately come out a champion. And in life and in your faith life, it's that experience. Like there's that Christian journey, like, it's great. It's a journey though, but it's not exactly the easiest thing to do, right? There's gonna be trials, there's going to be tribulations, there's going to be things that go wrong in your life where you have to look back on what are the skills that I've learned and things like that and follow through and use that experience to come out on top. Now, are you always going to win in every game and in every life lesson? No, no one's perfect. Everybody loses some more than others, but there's some intertwinings of between and similarities between faith and sport, and you can clearly see that um, if if you look close enough, because it's there, right? And what are your thoughts on that, Daniel?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with everything you said. And you know, I I think it's a hard thing. I look at the quarterback in the NFL. A good quarterback
Mhm,
is able to stand in the pressure cooker, deliver the pass while knowing he's going to get destroyed, right? I think that's a takes a lot of skill. I think that takes a lot of trust. Takes a lot of guts. And I think that really relates with how we're called to walk in our faith. I think we are called to be able to when God calls us to a situation saying, are we willing to stand into that pressure cooker,
mhm.
knowing, we might get tackled really bad. We might get hurt from that tackle. And how willing we are to do that. I think that's another thing in our in the Christian journey. It's so much more than just a simple, easy walk, like you were saying. I think it's a difficult one. I think it's a difficult journey ahead, and it's something that we practice and work on daily. You don't just become great by you know making a decision. You have to work at things. You have to put in the daily effort to reach those goals. And I think a lot of that also has to do with a word that has been kind of been going through my mind for the last few months is the word surrender. Am I going to
Mm.
surrender, my desires to allow God's desires to really be the ones that are number one in my life, right? Do I care more about the money I'm going to make or the way I'm going to serve, And I'm going to be able to stand in that pressure pot for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. The surrender piece is really interesting because when you look at sports, you can still win without surrendering, right? There's especially in team sports, you can have one guy just decide to go off book. Maybe I think basketball and maybe hockey, but basketball for sure is kind of one of the easiest ones to look at. In football, there's way too many guys. It's harder that way. But basketball, you can have one really dominant player, and he decides to ignore what the coach is saying and say, you know what, I'm going to go one on one myself. Or instead of setting a screen, I'm just going to run a different play or anything like that, and take that decision into their own hands and say, you know what, I'm selfish. I want to make the Nike shoe deal. I want to be on Sports Center. I want to be in TSN Turning Point, and I want to own it. Versus, hey, playing within the team system, playing to follow what the coach says, uh, you can get away with that and still win, right? Like I remember there's one playoff turning or playoffs where Kobe again, I think it was against Phoenix, decided not to shoot one game just to show his teammates that they need him. That's incredibly selfish, right? It's not a regular season game. It's not even a preseason game, right? Like you can get away with that in like playing pickup ball, sure. This is a nationally televised playoff game. And he said, hey, you know what? I'm not shooting because you guys suck and you guys need me. You can't get away with that in your faith, right? You can't just say, hey, I'm going to Lone Ranger it. And this is one of the main differences. I'm going to do this on my own. I don't need God. I don't need friends. I don't need anybody because it's a very lonely walk. As a human, you're sinful, and that sinfulness makes you unworthy. You can be the best person in the entire world. You can give to charity. You can never hurt anybody, never talk back. You can be obedient to your superiors and to your parents, and you can love and be and be great, this amazing person. But if you don't have Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you're not going to heaven, right? The way salvation works is it's not built on works. It's not built on what you can do. It's built on the simple decision of asking Jesus to be your Lord and Savior and following his steps. Right? So in the end, you can do all the right things, but you're still not going to win. You need to rely on God in your faith journey because He doesn't operate inside the box that we can think it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think if you look at a championship team, we'll keep in the basketball talk here. On a championship team, your defined role. right? You have
Yep.
you have the role you got to play. Sometimes maybe the second best guy you got to score a little bit more that very day, but usually it's the top guy that's got to get you your buckets, right? And you have
Yep.
your defined roles. You have your defensive stopper. You know, you have your crazy guy, all that kind of stuff. You have your defined roles. And similar to a Christian journey, we have our defined roles as well. We have people that are going to be great business people and pastors and volunteers in different areas, right? You have all our roles that God has called us to, and we're supposed to trust in those and walk in those. And when you have that championship mindset, when you bring that into the faith talk, um, that's the heartbeat behind of trying to do your best in your role. You want to honor God through that as best as you can. So I like that kind of thinking of, you know, there is pressure in every situation, and there's pressure that um, we face in our daily lives. But when we know that what we are doing is for the right cause, what we know that we're doing is honoring to God, then we know that really the pressure is not on our abilities, right? It's on us being faithful, which I think is a very difficult thing for us to do as humans, right? My first reaction to when some trouble comes my way is like, how can I solve this? And what's the most efficient way to solve this? Right? Instead of saying what I should be doing, is saying, Lord, what should I do in this? You know, you've brought this, or the situation's coming in front of me. How should I approach this? What can I learn from this? How can I get through this? Right? And I think that's a great practice.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head because like both of us played point guard growing up. You probably played longer than I did. And we're both used to controlling the game and having kind of like the marionettes where you can control what's going on and really being able to dictate left, right, and center. Same thing with quarterback, same thing with lots of different sports. You have that one guy who can control everything. And when you're used to having that control, it's really hard to say, okay, God, I'm gonna give this to you and just be obedient. It's getting out of God's ways is the hardest thing. And so what looks like pressure for somebody else may not be pressure for person B. The things that I struggle with may not be pressure for things that you struggle with, and vice versa. And a lot of times we really fall into the trap of, oh man, my life is so hard right now. I look at that person over there and they don't even love God, but they have millions of dollars and is that covetous trap. And we think their life is perfect. Or you look at Instagram and you scroll and you scroll and you're scrolling, man, why can't I go with my wife on vacation or take my kids to Disneyland or look like this, look like that, have the perfect body? There's different types of pressure that we're put under, and all that pressure is going to help is meant to test you and to refine you. And if you don't have God, you're just going to be stuck in this vortex of I need to do this, I must do this, I want this. It's this I versus if you have God, it's like, okay, what do you want, God? Like, sure, I'm a little bit overweight. I know I need to get myself back in shape, not because I'm trying to impress and put my six pack on Instagram, but because I want to be able to help. I want to be healthy so I can serve God to the best of my ability. Right? If I'm, sick all the time, or if I'm not, able to have endurance to run this race, I'm sitting on the sidelines. That's not helpful, right? And it turns from this I mentality to what do you want, God, and what do you expect out of me, and what are you trying to talk about, right? Because God has a plan, and he's he's there beside you. That footprints, that footprints poster is so true. God is walking right beside you. It's up to you to follow, but God can only do so much, and He's not going to force you to do anything. It's up to you to be like, okay, I'm gonna read my Bible, I'm gonna be obedient, spend time praying. But if you're not doing those things, you're kind of handcuffing God and saying, I'm gonna do it my way, you fit into my box, and we'll go from there. When in reality, that's not the way this works because let's be real, God is all powerful, all knowing, and everywhere. Me, Joel Chandler's is one dude in his Toronto apartment we can only do X amount of things, right? So I think from my perspective, we talk about faith and sports and similarities and dissimilarities. The difference is really you cannot win the end game by yourself. You can do as much as you want to do and try and hit all the targets, but at the end, you can't win on your own. And that's something that is, I think, for guys like you and myself, is a bit harder to comprehend because we're so used to saying, I got this. I got this. I can fix this. I can change this. I mean, it's actually probably hard for most guys in general because we are problem solvers generally,
Mm-hmm.
right? We see an issue, it's like, I got it. I got a solution. Um, and it's not like that with your faith journey because, again, we are just humans. God is this incredibly powerful, all knowing being that exists outside of what we can understand. It's kind of like when you're playing The Sims, right? You, as the guy controlling the Sims themselves, have all the power in the world. The Sims have no idea what they're doing, right? And that's how. Not, it's a weird analogy, I think, but it gives you that idea that God doesn't operate how we think He can operate, right? He operates
Mm-hmm.
how He wants to operate.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think it was in our preamble where we were talking about how the Christian journey is not an easy journey. And,
Mm.
what we should really expect, what we know as Christ followers is that in this walk, it's difficult. There is challenges. There's lots of pressure. It's challenging. And pressure is actually not a bad thing. There's pressure is where you learn so much. Pressure, the saying is pressure creates diamonds, fire finds the gold. That's so true. It rings so true. You see it in how you develop as an athlete. You see it so much as well as how you develop in your Christian journey as well. And it's something actually you look forward to. You actually start living and enjoying the pressure. And as we continue that walk in the Christian journey, you're going to understand that that's more and more that's coming and happening every single day. And the more you're able to walk in that, the more you're able to be more comfortable in the pressure. Just being able to be dribbling with your left hand as good as with your right hand, right? You have to be able to be comfortable with it, not having to look down at the ball to say you know where you're going, right? We do all those practices, and it's for a reason, so we can handle the pressures. We know what to do. We know how to operate when pressure hits us, right?
Yeah, and I think one thing that as Christ followers that we have to understand is you're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes, and recognizing what those mistakes are and recognizing what you may potentially did wrong is a huge first step. There's the only person who's perfect was Jesus, and as you know, we're called to emulate him and follow his steps and do what Jesus did. We're gonna fall short, and what you do after you fall short, just like in sports, is you can either lay there and get trampled on, or you get right back up and go after it. And that's part of the pressure, part of learning what it takes to be a winner, both in the sports realm and in the faith journey piece, is experience. And if you just sit in your room and don't do anything, you'll never experience the beauty of life that God has planned for you.
It's good. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. How do we want to end, Coach?
So as a team, make sure number one, get your brackets put in before Thursday start
Yeah.
time. Number two, like us on Facebook, on YouTube, share us on X, and Instagram. Share the
TikTok.
reels, comment, get the engagement going. Because number one, it helps us, but also really what we're trying to do is spread the love of God, and we want to do that through sports and our faith, and we need your help to do it. So get it going, have at it, and we'll see you in the next pod. Peace.
Peace.